In the wake of the election earlier this week, we're getting to know some of the new politicians who will be gracing the halls of Congress and the Senate. James Lankford is one of them. He's Oklahoma's new Republican senator, and he was being interviewed this week about what he's going to do to help cut down the deficit. Let's take a look at who he turns to for philosophical inspiration.
So, Senator Lankford, what is top on your priority list as you move over to the Senate?
Well, budget for me is still a huge area. The people have started to step back and say, well, our deficit is only $480 billion now, so we're doing much better in deficit. We still have $480 billion in deficit. That's a big deal. I come from a biblical worldview in the way that I address issues. When I look at Nehemiah and how he handled the things when he stepped into Jerusalem, it was that the people were in disgrace and the wall was broken down. But the two things that he focused in on was the infrastructure side of things and the debt. Half of the book of Nehemiah is just getting the people out of debt, and so they could actually take on the other things.
I always forget, which of the Federalist Papers did Nehemiah write?
The one about debt.
Oh, really?
I don't know anything about the Bible, but Nehemiah's not a real person.
I'll tell you, I know a little bit about the Bible, and two things. One, as far as I can tell, the people in the Bible, as I picture them, their faces move, which I noticed that his face doesn't move, which seemed to me really strange. But secondly, the fact is, it actually came up on a project I'm working on, that the Bible is filled with debt forgiveness for people who owe money to lenders.
Oh, that's a great point.
So you would expect this guy to come out and say, student debt, wiped out.
Gone.
Homeowner debt, wiped out. Because you know what? It's Jubilee year. The Bible is filled with these Jubilee years. Hey, y'all, it's Jubilee year. Instead, he wants the banks to hold their debt, and he wants the government not to do his job. That man ought to read his Bible.
Or worse, he'll read it, and the conclusion that he'll come up with in that case will be like, China, we're just not paying you back. Like,
Well, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, Jubilee for us.
But let me get to RJ's other point, which is a more significant point. When the invasion comes and intelligence has been given to the alien life form by someone in the know in government, even the other Republicans are going to know that it's James Lankford.
That shot screams, surrender, puny humans, doesn't it?
Or possibly airport bathroom
I think
scandal.
also see the way he tilts his head to the screen's left side,
That's a
right?
big deal.
That's because that's where you can see the zipper over here. And when, come back to me for a quick sec, and when he peels off his face, it's very clearly going to be left to right. and makes us submit to his power. And Ted Cruz is going to be like, I knew it! I knew it! It was Lankford!
And let's be clear, this is not a state senator. This is a senator. We're
I
talking
know,
about
it's
Nehemiah, like the old Bush years of Gog and Magog. We haven't moved past this. The media allowed this guy to be elected. Someone who, he's not talking about Benjamin Franklin, he's not talking about Thomas Jefferson. He's talking about people that even people who read the Bible frequently probably don't mention from time to time. So Nehemiah.
Obscure. Nehemiah is probably a reach,
Yeah, I think Ben's theory that he's part of the alien invasion is just as credible as the theory that we should run the government based on what Nehemiah said.
By the way, that's Old Testament. So now we can hammer James Lankford all we want with Leviticus.
Right.
And he can't be like, oh no, it's I'm just the New Testament.
Right.
Yeah.
So Lankford's like, I come from a biblical worldview. So from now on, anyone who eats any kind of shellfish, shrimp, crab, you name it, lobsters, I will personally stone them to fucking death. Okay? I'm going to line them up in the Capitol and bash their fucking head in. I come from a biblical worldview. Read Leviticus.
We could just hit them with random Bible quotes. When they say, I'm opposed to Obamacare, you can say, yeah, but canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook? And when they go, what? Just say, well, you're the Bible guy. Right. Can you?
I like the randomness of that. Just to have Lankford be like, what? Does not compute. Did they figure out I am an alien?
By the way, hang on. This is Wikipedia. Item 5 of the story of Nehemiah in the book of Nehemiah. Nehemiah, the enemy, item 4, the enemies of the Jews, I can't pronounce any of their names, are they plot to attack Jerusalem, which necessitates the Jews working with weapons in their hands, right? So the Jews have to
necessitates.
Right. So item 5 then is Nehemiah sees that the Jewish nobles are oppressing the poor and forces the cancellation of all debt and mortgages.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's
Now
what
I'm
I'm
kind of
talking
excited
about.
for the next
Nehemiah
Well,
was a
previous governors-
revolutionary lefty.
Yeah.
And so Lankford, well, you guys didn't play the second clip. He comes out as very anti-Jewish nobles. Which he probably is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the rest of them too.
God, for God's sake, man, what have we become? This
He's
is
so
it.
good,
This
but
U.S. senator.
Like, we would if quotes of like some new politician in Iran came out with the equivalent quotes from the Quran, we would mock them mercilessly. Not on this program, but in the media, and the politicians would. But for some reason, these obscure esoteric references, which he doesn't, as Ben is pointing out, most importantly, he doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to Nehemiah.
He's gonna get it wrong. Yeah.
Apparently, Nehemiah not that bad of a guy. I'm glad I've been introduced to him. Maybe you should get to know him a little bit better too, as you're reading your Book of Mormon.
What happened to your face? I mean, why doesn't it move? It's disturbing.
All right.
Yeah.
Last thing. I just want one. I just want, okay, look, my serious point is I want one Republican senator to come out and say, I have a biblical worldview. That's why I don't believe any rich man can get into heaven, because obviously harder than a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. So I'm taking all of their money and giving it to the poor because I want to help the rich get into heaven. Because I'm pro-rich, I'm a Republican, right?
Only
And I'm
a
trying to
politician
help
in
them.
Brazil.
And then, hold on a second, Tony, picks up a mice.